In this lesson, I will show you how to fill a text with particles. So first, let's create the text by going to create, and then I will click on type. And then I will go to the type 1 tab in the attribute editor, and then I will type hello. Okay. And then I will move the text to the left a little bit. Okay, so let's close the attribute editor. And now I will select the text, and then I will go to N particles, and I will click on fill object option box, and then I will go to edit and reset the settings. So let's leave everything as the default, and then I will click on apply. And as you see, if I hit 4 on the keyboard, nothing happens. The reason is, let's go again to the end particle, and I will show you why I didn't create any particles, because we need to increase the resolution. Okay, so if I set the resolution to, for example, 30 and click apply, as you see now Maya created some particles in this area. Okay, so we need to increase it more. So let's delete that, the end particle, from the outliner and the nucleus, and now I will select that again. Let's set 90 and click apply, and now we have more particles. Okay, and let's increase it a little bit more. So I will select that and delete them. Okay, I will select it again, and then I will set that to about 130, and then click on apply. Okay, so now we have more particles in the text. And now if I select the text and hide that, I can see them in the viewport better. So now I will go to the attribute editor and change the points to spheres. Okay, we could use the create option box and click on balls and then create the particles, but that's not a problem. We can change that from the attribute editor later too. So I will go to shading, and then I will change the particle render type from point to spheres. Okay, so now I have spheres here. So I will close that. Okay, so let's create a random color for the particles. So I will select them again, and then I will go to the shading, and I will scroll down. As you see here, I have color, so I can change that, for example, to orange, and then I can click here to add another slot, and then I will click here and change that, for example, to white. But the problem is, as you see, we don't see the orange color, so I will move that a little bit here. And now I will change the color input to randomized ID. So this will give random color to every particle. But the problem is now, as you see, we have a gradient orange colors, right? And gradient white. I want to be every particle full orange or full white. So the reason is this happening because we have a gradient color between these two slots. So I can select that and come here and click on none. So now, as you see, it's solid. Okay, so now we have full color. Okay, so let's add random scales for every particle. So I can go up a little bit here to the particle size, and here you see I have radius scale. So I can change again that to, for example, randomized ID, and I will click somewhere here and decrease that. Okay, so now as you see, we have some small particles and we have big particles. So if you want to make them a little bit bigger, so you can click here and increase the radius scale randomize. This is a multiplier for the radius. Okay, so now we have, so we can increase the input max too. This is a multiplier too. Okay, let's increase that. So this slot, this is the minimum radius you can have, and this is the maximum radius. Okay, So we can change the radius from here to, this is a multiplier to, for example, 0.4, we have a little bit bigger particles, and 0.3, it's okay. And now if I hit play, let's see what will happen. Okay, as you see the particle falling down, we need to create a ground. So I will go to create and then polygon primitives and then plane. And now let's scale the plane, something like that. Okay, so now if I select the plane and then I will go to enclose and then I will click on create passive collider. So now the particle will be collided with the plane. So I will go back and then as you see we have now a problem, the particle shooting up. Okay, the reason is because the particles, as you see, are intersecting with the ground. So we need to move the plane a little bit down, or we can move the text up too. So let's move the plane a little bit down to make everything fast. And now if I play, again we have the same problem. So I will move it down a little bit more. And let's see, again, let's move it something like that. And now we get rid of that problem, okay? But now the problem is, as you see, the particles don't collide with each other. So we need to enable another feature. So in the, I will select the N particle, and then in the N particle shape one, I will scroll down to the collision tab. And here you see I have self collide. Now if I click on that, now the particle will be collided with each other. But now we will have another problem. As you see, the particles colliding with each other, right? It's intersecting with each other. So let's see what will happen if I click play. So as you see now, we have another problem. So if I go back again, as you see now, they are shooting out, okay? So the reason is the scale is too big. So I will go back to the radius and scale down that to 0.2 and let's see. Okay. So now as you see, if I go to the second frame, the particles pop out as you see like that. So what I want to create now, guys, I want to be the second frame. I want to move the second frame to the first frame. So when I go back to the first frame, this will be the second frame, okay? So we don't have to see this pop-up effect. So I can do that by going to the second frame, okay? So now I will select the particles and then I will go to the fields and solvers. And then I will go to initial state, okay? So now I will click on set for selected. So now if I clicked on that, now the first frame is behaving like the second frame, okay? So now if I go back, as you see, the first frame is the second frame, okay? So now if I hit play, now everything works as normal, okay? So now let's cache the particle to the disk. The reason is I want to cache the particles to the disk because I want to play the animation faster in the viewport. So Maya will not calculate the animation or the simulation every time I click on play. So let's do that. I will select the particles and then I will go to ncache, not cache, okay, ncache, and then create new cache, and then I will go to n object, okay. So I will click on the option box. Here I can specify the directory, the path for my cache, and here I can set the name. Okay, I will leave them as default. And here you can set the time slider. So this is from 1 to 120, okay? And I will leave everything to default. And let's click on cache, okay? So now Maya is caching the particles on the disk. Okay, the cache is finished. So now if I go back and play the animation, as you see, now it's in real time. So let's say you want to change anything here. If you change anything, for example, the radius, the radius or the input max or anything, you need to go again and cache it. Okay, so for example, if I set the radius, for example, to 0.5, nothing happens in the viewport. Even if I go there, as you see, nothing happens. The reason is because this reading the cache from the disk, even if you change that. So if you want to see the changes, you need to go again to encache and click on an object again to cache the new values or the new adjustments you set here. Okay, or you can select the particles and then go to encache and then delete the cache. If you delete the cache now, let's delete that and see. So now if I go back, as you see now, this is working. Okay, because we deleted the cache. Okay, so let's cache it again. Set 0.3, 0.2, sorry. Okay, let's select that and let's go again to encache and new cache, new cache. As you see now, Maya asked me, you want to replace the existing cache because we have the same name. Okay, so I will click on replace existing. So now this will be replaced. Okay, so the cache is finished again. Now I can see it in real time. So let's say you want to create an effect that the particles going up, okay, and reform the text. So we can do that by reversing the cache. So I will select the text and then I will go to the cache, and you see here I have reverse. So if I click on that, now this will be reversed. So now if I click play, as you see the particles moving and shaping the text. Okay, let's hide the grid. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. I will see you in the next lesson.